Welcome back to another episode of NRL by Jellyman here on Wednesday, the 3rd of May. Brought to you by Sports Tips by Jellyman. Obviously reviewing round 9, previewing Magic round 10, and also touching on standings, stats, and then also best bets for the Magic round ahead or weekend ahead of rugby league. Obviously, as per usual, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and also TikTok, etc. But jumping into it today, so reviewing obviously round 9, the takeaways, team by team standings, round 10 preview, and round 10 best bets, round 2 preview and stats as well, obviously. But looking back at last week, obviously the Sharkies beating the Cowboys on Thursday night, 44-6. The Sharkies were dominant, the Cowboys sucked. Don't need to go into too much there. The Sharkies obviously put it on the Cowboys just struggling defensively. Their contact's not there, all that sort of stuff. Their drive through the middle's not there. They're obviously missing Tamalolo and a few players, but I still think even with them players, they're still going to get beaten. Probably not by that margin, but they're still going to get beaten and beaten well. Obviously this week, a fair amount of break heading into Magic round and playing the Roosters, but the Roosters will be looking to have their tails up as well, coming off a close-ish win, but holding the New Zealand Warriors 2-0. Not too much else to touch on that game. Parramatta versus Newcastle, with Parramatta winning 43-12, and it really should have been probably 70-12, because Parramatta bombed a few tries. They almost made it too complicated because they were too ahead of themselves, and thinking about their next play, when they could have just put it through their hands and probably they would have scored an extra couple of tries. It's hard to criticise a team when they win by 31 points, but that is our direct criticism there. Obviously, it cost us a few try scorers as well, which is also a bit of pain. But yeah, the Knights, this game was potentially coming for them with such a tough, tiring schedule. Obviously, Ponga missing quite a few tackles. He should probably go back to fullback. But we'll let everyone else debate on that one. But it was good to see the Eels click into action, and not too much to take away from the Knights there. It was just obviously a poor performance that they didn't show up for. They've obviously got the bye this week, which comes at a good time. And then they can build after that bye, and see what they want to do with their lineup, and their spine, and etc. The next game of the evening was the Broncos playing the South. South winning 32-6, and once again holding a team under their amount of points. Graham scoring 3 tries, Mitchell 2, Walker 1. When those 3 guys are scoring, your team's going well. Arthur scored a try for the Broncos there, but the Broncos did miss Mam and also Haas through the middle. And the Bunnies just really dominated and rumbled through them through that sort of middle third, and dominated that matchup. Saturday's games, the Raiders versus the Dolphins. The Raiders getting a win by 1 point in Golden Point, 31-30, but allowing the Dolphins back into the game. The Dolphins probably had no right to be in this game after letting up such a good lead. But for the Raiders, Croker, White, and Rapana, Chris Fogarty all scored, all your main guys really. And then for the Dolphins, Aiken now scored 3 in a row. Tabuai-Fidow, Lemi Lumu, and Bromwich as well scoring there. Unfortunately for the Dolphins, they come out with a loss. But yeah, nothing too much else to take away for the Dolphins there, other than they were always in the game. The Sea Eagles lose to the Titans at home at Brookvale 10-26. The Titans played a bit of defense. I don't know if it was a Manly attack that looked terrible, but the Titans smashed up. Contact was good, and they rumbled back through the middle. Khan Pereira double for Feeder, a score. Sammy and also Huss scoring as well. Tanner Boyd didn't kick well, so it should have been a bigger win. But nonetheless, the Titans getting a win in that one. The Panthers losing to the Tigers. The Tigers getting their first win of the season, 12-8 in Bathurst. Why they are playing a Bathurst game at 7:30 at night on a Saturday. It would have been freezing cold anyway. That game probably should have been a day game, even if it was wet. But nevertheless, 12-8, Tigers get the win. The Panthers just actually looked like the second-tier team in this one. The Tigers rumbled through the middle. They completed their sets. They completed it 90% in the wet, which is astonishing. So they had a couple of weeks to prepare for this one, but nonetheless, the Tigers are on the board. Good to see. Norfolumi gets his 100th try. The Panthers' attack just looked average. They didn't really look to get it going until the last 15 minutes of that one, and obviously cost them at the back end. The Warriors playing the Roosters. The Roosters beating the Warriors 14-0. Butcher and Tupanua scoring. Terrible weather for football or any type of anything really. But obviously, the Warriors are quite down on injuries at the moment, so just any sort of fight is okay. But obviously the Roosters getting a much needed win. And the last game of the round was the Dragons losing to the Dogs 16-18 in Wollongong, where they usually don't lose. Avarilla scored a double. Both Figo brothers scored each. Catchman scored, and then Waddell scored for the Bulldogs, but not too much else to take away from that game. Nonetheless, standings. So an update of the standings. Broncos still atop, 7 wins, 2 losses. They've played 9. Sharks just behind them, Rabbitohs, Storm, and then the Roosters, Eagles, Panthers, Warriors, Dolphins just outside the 8 with the Titans, Raiders, and Eels. The Eels, we expect them to continue to climb, so someone will have to drop out of that 8. We see it being the Seagulls, potentially dropping a few more games there. And then the Knights, Dragons, Cowboys, Tigers. I reckon that bottom 4 is pretty much set. The only change maybe the Bulldogs may drop into there, and the Cowboys, if they turn their season around, or the Knights actually get a few more wins, they might lift up there. But that bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I think is pretty well set. The Eels will climb into that 8, and potentially the Seagulls drop out, but I think it could be something like a 1 to 8. It could be the Broncos, Sharks, Rabbitohs, Storm, Roosters, Panthers. Obviously the Panthers will be in that top 6, and then I think it's a mix between the Seagulls, Warriors. I think the Eels make the 8, so it makes it a mix between the Seagulls, Warriors, Dolphins, Titans for that 8th position, maybe even putting the Raiders in there with a bit of fight and a bit of grit. Previewing round 10 though, obviously back up here in Brisbane. Magic round, always a good spectacle. The weather looks to be perfect in Brisbane right across the 3 days, so unlike last season, there was a bit of rain about, and it ruined a lot of the later games because of the rain, because the pitch was torn up. But the first game to kick off is the Bulldogs versus the Raiders. The Raiders are favoured 160, the Bulldogs 235. Teamless are out, Hopawate the out, Savage in for the Raiders. Apart from that, they pretty much remain unchanged. For the Doggies, they get back Carraz. They've also listed in Flanagan, but he's not playing. Obviously, the rumours circulating him. Out goes Burns and Brown. The Raiders should get the win in this one, but this game actually could be anything. Could be a high-scoring game, could be a low-scoring game. We'll just need to have a bit more look into previous matchups, etc. In the Dogs. The Raiders beat the Dogs last season 14-4, and then the season prior it was 20-18, so a couple of low-scoring games there. But the Raiders have been able to score points of late, so looking to potentially put some points on there. But the Dogs have been defending well, so really a 50-50 game this one. The Raiders should get the win though, especially if they want to play top 8 football. Next game in the evening is the Broncos and the Seagulls. The Broncos 128, Seagulls 375. Outs for the Seagulls, Trebojevic, Harper and Sipley. In comes Brad Parker. Cooler's actually in as well as Tom Trebojevic, so they get some, and Brad Parker, as well, so they get some troops back. In for the Broncos is Mam and Huss. Out will likely go Jock Madden and Hetherington there. For this one, the Broncos should win and win well if they put it together. Manly have scored 18 points or less in 4 of their last 6 games, so unable to score the ball. The Broncos have been defending well as well, but have allowed 16 plus points in their last 4 games. They're allowing tries to the fullback and also allowing tries to the edges. But Manly have lost their last 5 interstate games, and the last 3 games have gone unders. But I think the Brisbane Broncos win and win well here, especially being their round as such. Obviously, Magic round up there in Brisbane. They won't want to lose. Manly's also failed to come to the line in 5 of their last 6 at Suncorp, and also have lost their last 5 interstate games by 13 plus. So I reckon a Broncos win and a Broncos win well in this matchup. The Saturday ticket, to the Panthers and the Warriors. The Warriors 22 plus points in 4 of the last 5 games, obviously the last game being the ultimatum. The Warriors have allowed 14 plus points in 7 of the last 8 games. The NZ have also lost their last 12 matches against the reigning premiers and last 4 by 13 plus. 5 of the last 6 matchups between these sides actually gone under. Penrith have won both halves in the last 3 versus New Zealand. And then Penrith has also covered the line in 6 of the last 7 after a loss, so obviously losing to the Tigers last week. Not many changes. Fisher Harris actually comes back in, so that's a big in for them. Spencer Linyu as well, Eisenhuth out. Chance comes back in, and also Harris for the Warriors, so that adds a bit of depth for them there. I think this could be a good game, especially if it's a Saturday afternoon game. I think there's a lot of points in this one. I know the Panthers haven't necessarily been allowing points, but if the Warriors can shift out and then get them through the middle, expect a good matchup there for both sides on a quick deck and Suncorp. Next game is the Sharks versus the Dolphins. Expect some points in this one, whether it's just mainly by the Sharks or by both sides, but we see a lot of points in this one, especially being sort of a Dolphins home game as such. But yeah, we like the Sharkies to win and win well. They've scored 30 plus points in 4 of the last 5. Also won their last 3 games by 10 plus points. Mulatalo scoring tries, Katoa scoring tries. They're actually allowing tries to the right side winger, so left edge defence. So that'll most likely be DWZ or Kossi. The Dolphins are playing. I was stuck in the last game. That'll most likely be Tessie New or Asako scoring. So Asako potentially scored a try. Hasn't scored a try in a few weeks. Also Aiken, he's scored a try in his last 3 games. Tabio Fido, a try in 7 of 9 games this season. The Sharkies, they've won 14 of the last 17 versus Queensland teams. Last 5 games the Dolphins have played have gone overs. But the Dolphins have covered the line in 5 of the last 7 as an underdog. So a few good stats there. Next game of the evening, really excited for this one, the Storm and the Rabbitohs. Storm 195, Rabbitohs 185. Really a flip of the coin in this one. The Bunnies, in our honest opinion, have been playing more consistent and better football. But obviously the Storm do what they do sometimes, also coming off a bye, so had a week or so to prepare. But we like the Bunnies in this one. The Bunnies have been consistent, they've been holding teams down. Obviously Nas in for the Storm once again is a big in. But yeah, I think we like the Bunnies in this one, in this matchup. Last 4 wins by the Storm have been 8 plus points, but other than that, it's been losses. 24 plus points in 4 of the last 6 games, but we can't see the Bunnies allowing more than 18 plus points. They've actually held teams to 18 points or less in 8 of 9 games this season and scored 32 plus points in 3 of the last 4. Walker and Mitchell scoring tries, Graham scoring tries. South's actually won 18 of the last 21 in Queensland, so playing well in Queensland. And South have covered the line in their last 4 games as well. But as mentioned, we like the Bunnies. Tigers and Dragons, bottom of the ladder sort of clash, or towards the bottom of the ladder clash. Where the Tigers played last week, they should win this game. And they might not win well, but it might be a 1-12. But the Tigers really should win this game. I'm sure the Dragons will be looking to bounce back. We won't cover off too much in this one, but yeah, look at something like a Tigers with a try scorer from each side type multi. I wouldn't be going just flat head-to-head in this one. I'll be looking for a bit of value in the head-to-head with a couple of anytime try scorers and leave it about 1 unit is most likely what we're going to do. Roosters and Cowboys is the next game. The Cowboys, as mentioned, they have quite a break. The Roosters struggle covering big lines. Is something we would like to mention. I'm pretty sure their line's going to be about minus 12.5 in this one. They get back Waria Hargraves. I can spit it out. They've also named Sam Walker on the extended bench, as well as Nathan Brown, as well as Fletcher Baker. They have named Brandon Smith, but he has a neck issue. So whether he plays or not is yet to be seen. But yeah, we like the Roosters in this one. They really need to start get it going before this origin period. They have named Corey Allen on the wing, but we like Suoli'i out there. And then put Manu back to centre and then play Walker there, especially against the Cowboys side. They should be able to towel up. And then the team the Cowboys have in, they get back Lukey, but unfortunately Nanai and Chester both go out. So a bit of drive off the bench and also a big man up forward. But yeah, the Roosters should win this one well. Last game of Magic Round, the Titans and the Eels. The Titans, $3, Eels, $1.39. The Titans, 26 plus points in the last 3 games. I see some points being scored on Sunday night to close out Magic Round. I reckon 30 plus points each team isn't too bad of a shout. The Eels, even against the Knights last week, they put points on, but they just at times struggled to defend. And then the Titans, they can score some points as well. So we like this one going overs. We like the Eels potentially winning, but potentially being close, something like a 32-30 or like a 26-24. I think this one's going to be, or a 30-26, around that sort of mark. AJ Brimson out for the Titans is a big out. JD Campbell slots into that spot. In sort of comes for the Eels, Ryan Madison comes back in, Bailey Simonson as well, so he slots in there. For Russell, But yeah, the problem with the Eels is just their outside back. I mean, Siva and Penasini are all sweet. Simonson's better, but Dunster, we didn't see much out of him last week. But the Haas played really well in their match last week. But that is previewing Magic Round. Obviously, our best bets for the weekend. So NRL stats for round 10. Manly have lost their last 5 interstate games. Cronulla have won 14 of the last 17 versus Queensland teams. Sydney, they've won their last 5 versus North Queensland. And Parramatta have won the last 7 versus Gold Coast. So Brisbane, Cronulla, Sydney and Parramatta all to win there. 322 as a 4-leg multi for the weekend. Friday's stats and bets. Raiders 20 plus points in their last 3 games. The Dogs, they've allowed 129 points over the last 4 games. Arthur's 1 plus try in his last 3 games. That'll get you 329 combining those two together. So Raiders 21 over 21.5 and Arthur's anytime try. Stats for Saturday, the Warriors allowing 14 plus points in 7 of the last 8 games. So Penrith Panthers over total points. Mulatalo a try in 6 of his last 7. The Dolphins are allowing points as well. And then Latrell Mitchell 1 plus try in his last 4 games. So Penrith Panthers points over, Mulatalo a try, as well as the Sharks over 25.5, and then Latrell Mitchell anytime try scorer, 956 there as a 4-leg multi. And then for Sunday, the Dragons, they've allowed 18 plus points in 7 of the last 8. 7 of the Tigers' last 8 at Suncorp have gone overs. The Cowboys' last 4 at Suncorp have gone overs, and Gutherson to score a try 1 plus in his 4 of his last 5 games. So you've got the Tigers over with total match points over. The Cowboys, Sydney Roosters over. And then Gutherson anytime try, 857 as a 4-leg multi. But that is all for this week ahead of Magic Round. Good luck for your weekend of punting. As always, feel free to like, follow and subscribe for more insights and recommendations on the NRL, AFL and NBA. Thank you.